Today's Patreon dedication is for Jason Belk. Thank you, Jason. Indominus Rex Alpha versus partners Tiana and Ravos, Karth the Lion, and Aragorn. A one-lander, which is a shame because we've got 3 visits there. Plenty of keywords, but no mana. Take the free mulligan. Alright, into no green mana, which is typical. So we'll have to take the mulligan on that as well. Alright, and into all of our colours. Hardly any other cards in hand, annoyingly. Thankfully, we do draw into a card on turn 1, and that is 3 keywords from the Vengeful Reaper. Turn 1 Sol Ring into Arcane Signet for the Karth player. And then round to our turn, we see Yarok the Desecrated to double up our commander's triggers. And doing nothing on turn 2, so we'll just get in the Watery Grave tapped and pass. And we see a turn 2 Karth the Lion thanks to the fast mana. Not getting any Planeswalker from it though, does manage to make a land and goes down to 4 cards in hand. Now drawing into a Cabal Coffers, which will tap for mana once we get a 4th swamp into play. The 3rd one comes into play now, and that can just be a Bayou. And we'll play ourselves a Leyline Prowler so that we've got 5 mana, maybe for the Yarok next turn. Esper Sentinel for Aragorn. Nature's Law, and paid into the Esper Sentinel trigger for Karth. Followed by a Legendary in Nissa Vastwood Seer. 7 lands for this, I think. Yeah, 7 or more lands. They have 4 at the moment. And the 3/5 at Karth goes in towards the Esper Sentinel. It is allowed through to deal the commander damage. Verduran Enchantress for the partner player. So maybe wants to buff up the Tana with a bunch of auras. Pretty slow pace games so far, so I think we've got time. Hinterland Harbour, so we can afford to lose the Mana Dork now. We'll get down as many colours as possible, play the Hinterland Harbour, and we'll play the Yarok so that we can draw more cards, just in case we only get to discard this. Aragorn coming into play as the 2nd commander for the game, so becoming the Monarch. We should be able to take the monarchy away from this player because we've got a Death Touch on the Yarok, and we'll have Flying and Haste on our commander as well, so yeah, should be able to steal the monarchy away. Probably best hold this back as a blocker actually, now that I think about it. Alright, Karth is dedicating everything to taking away the Monarch, so that suggests that he's struggling for cards here. Alright, Aragorn blocked the Nissa before it turned into a Planeswalker, so that goes down, but they do successfully take away the Monarch. And then a Lolth Spider Queen. Those have reach, I think. Yeah, menace and reach on the spiders, assuming he goes for those, so that'll be more difficult to take the Monarch away. Maybe we'll be lucky and get into a Trampler. Esper Sentinel tax being paid. And does minus down to create those spiders. A Hallowed Haunting is going to cantrip on the Verduran Enchantress. And on the Esper Sentinel as well. Alright, we draw into a forest. Let's get down at the Reliquary Tower while we've got the chance so that we can swing in. We could take 3 creatures in over here and take the Monarch, but then we're tapped out. I don't think we really care about the Monarchy that much as long as Aragorn doesn't have it. Problem is, the more card advantage this player gets, the more Planeswalkers he's going to get into. Play out our commander and discard the only creature that's in our hand in the Vengeful Reaper, so Flying, Death Touch and Haste. And our commander triggers twice upon entry thanks to the Yarok, so we'll draw 3 cards twice. And that clears some more mana off the top. There is a Ronas as well, Death Touch and Indestructible. I can't quite afford the Nature's Law, unfortunately. Endray's Forerunners, Vigilance, Trample and Haste, so not too many keywords here. But Urborg and Cabal Coffers isn't the worst. So why don't we go after the Lolth before it becomes too much of an issue? And it encourages Aragorn in over there as well, assuming that blocks are made here. We'll hold back the Death Toucher. Would we rather just hold back a 6/6, seeing as how commander damage doesn't matter? I suppose if anyone's desperate to get a blocker out of the way for us, we'd rather they go after Yarok than the Indominus Rex, so yeah, we'll just send in the commander. Lolth was allowed to go down there, so deciding to keep the spider tokens in play. So is more concerned about keeping the Monarch, which adds credence to the idea that it doesn't have much decent in hand. Alright, the Monarch taken again with Court of Ire, so it never mattered anyway. Means that we're not going to be able to block the Aragorn. Drawing a card and discarding hand size at the end, a Faramir. Alright, so Karth back into the red zone. Some spiders go in at the left, and our Death Toucher holding back the Karth goes in at the right. So maybe assume that there's a board wipe incoming, which will make it handy for Ronas to give Indestructible to our commander. And the Menace creature's able to take the Monarch back for the Golgari player here. And yep, there's the board wipe I'm sure we're about to see, Ugin the Spirit Dragon. We do luckily still have haste for our commander, but we won't be able to play it next turn, annoyingly. So we'll get down Urborg and Cabal Coffers as soon as we can. Going down to 3 loyalty, wiping the board with Ugin, including his own commander. Another Enchantress, Mesa Enchantress for the partner player. Glad to see the back of the Hallowed Haunting, to be honest. Alright, so concentrating on ramp here, I think we've got Null Priest of Oblivion, which I think at this point in the game, Menace and Lifelink might be nice, but maybe hold on to this as reanimation. We want the Urborg ready for Cabal Coffers next turn, maybe. Let's get down Nature's Law. Might as well be a breeding pool, and we've got nothing to do with the Squirming Emergence, unfortunately. So yeah, we're just going to have to pass the turn, I think. Bring that in tapped. Champions of Minas Tirith is you become the Monarch when it enters, and then at the beginning of combat on each opponent's turn, if you're the Monarch, they may pay X, where X is the number of cards in their hand. If they don't, they can't attack you this turn, so a pillow fort basically. Another Ugin in Ugin the Ineffable. Probably minuses down and goes after this. And this player decides to scoop, which means he can get down a free Mind Stone here with the Ugin. His colourless spells cost 2 less to cast with that. Alright, not going for the minus, going for the plus as a means of card advantage. Could Lightning Bolt the creature with the Ugin, but that opens it up to getting attacked with the white creature over here. Although it's noteworthy that this only has 4 power to the 5 loyalty on each of these, so maybe decides to just bolt the Aragorn player. And a Phyrexian Arena in a disgusting white border. No excuses for it, really. Alright, so time to drop the Cabal Coffers, see what we draw into here. It's another land, so we'll get down Cabal Coffers. And how much mana are we going to make here? 8 mana. So we'll see what we draw into here. Might be able to reanimate something relevant with the Squirming Emergence. Discard all these, and we're going to have a bunch of keywords in the bin. I think all of these are unique, actually. Unfortunately, don't have double strike. Alright, so there we've got Death Touch, Menace, Haste, Indestructible, Lifelink, Trample, and Vigilance on a 6/6. So we'll be able to take out a Planeswalker here. And that draws us a bunch. There is the double strike that we may have wanted, although there's a Questing Beast as well. That's probably worth getting down so that we can hit a Planeswalker. Got Stitch Together as well. So if we go Stitch Together next turn onto the Endray's Forerunner, I'll turn this into an 8/8. Double strike still wouldn't necessarily be relevant. Yeah, anyway, let's get down the Questing Beast. And we might as well make use of the mana and go for the Swiftfoot Boots here so that we've got a consistent means of haste if our opponent's going to be able to get rid of the Indominus Rex. Because we just played one of our haste effects on the Questing Beast. And we don't have another one in hand at the moment. We don't have too many keywords in hand at all, actually. Although we can fish one back into hand with the Balagad Recovery. Alright, so the one that we want to get rid of the most is the Spirit Dragon. Want to be dealing commander damage with Indominus Rex, really, but we are successfully being distracted by the walkers. So the commander gets rid of Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Questing Beast goes in at the Ineffable. And double check that Magic Online hasn't done anything weird. Yep. And there's a fog. When's the last time you saw a fog in a game of Commander? Excellent. So managing to save the Ugins, and this one may well be relevant if it's going to get rid of our Indominus Rex, one of the only means that that deck might be able to get rid of an Indestructible. Only one card left in hand for this player, though. Okay, does that not work the way I thought it did? Prevent all combat damage that will be dealt this turn? Oh, Questing Beast, yeah. Where is it? Combat damage that will be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented. How often does that line of text become relevant? Well, it was relevant there. The fog could not prevent our damage thanks to the questing beast. So we do knock this down to 1 loyalty. The Ugin goes down and we get rid of the fog from our opponent's hand. Yeah, questing beast is a good card, who knew? And now the champion going to attempt to get rid of the Ugin the Ineffable, probably just gives card advantage by this chump blocking. So yep, chumps with the spirit token, gets a card into hand. A Rhystic Study for the Jeskai player over here. And then just passing the turn over, draws to the Monarch, goes to 7 cards in hand and holds up mana for interaction, which is always a worry. Alright, and then this player just decides to scoop. Doesn't even see what card he was going to draw with the Phyrexian Arena. So we're down to a 1v1. Still had 40 life, didn't he? If we go +3/+3 on this, +2/+2 with the Endrace Forerunners, that's +5/+6 is 11. And then double strike. Shall we try and take our opponent out here? Tropical Island. We'll see if we can get hexproof onto our commander first. Add the Cabal Coffers mana to maximise the amount of mana we get here. 9 mana just off the coffers. Alright, that is allowed on. Let's try the Fire Shrieker. Rhystic Study with 7 cards in hand. 3 mana here takes us down to 2, which we can use for that. Pay the tax, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't pay the tax with Return of the Wild Speaker. Yeah, okay. Of course, I'm entirely forgetting about this. We're going to have to pay a load of mana into that. 9 cards in hand means we have to pay 9 mana in order to attack. Yeah, and we don't have a means of removal, unfortunately. Maybe we just have to try and draw into some with the Return of the Wild Speaker. So we're not taking out our opponent here either way. Play Return of the Wild Speaker, draw cards. That'll be 6 cards in this case. And I'll try and get away with not paying the commander tax just in case we do get into something relevant. That does take us further away from actually being able to swing in at our opponent here, but the more cards we draw, the more likely we are to get into some spot removal, hopefully. Or not. Bunch of keywords. Some more reanimation, but doesn't look like we're going to be getting into any removal. Can't quite afford the Rishkar's expertise, unfortunately. Let's make another mana with the Topiary Stomper. And could have paid for the previous tax after all, but I'll pay for it here. So this is where the Reliquary Tower is actually hurting us here, but we do just need to try and get into a means of, even if it's just wiping the board, because our commander should be able to survive that. Shocking in a Steam Vents. And then a Frontline Medic. Not too worried about that. Not sure if we've got any X spells in the deck at all. Just looking through the deck list, we do have an Agadeem's Awakening, but more likely to play that as a land, although maybe not at this point in the game. A Losonak Captain. First strike, whenever it or another human enters under your control, tap a creature an opponent controls. So tapping down the Questing Beast, and this will be able to swing in with 2 other creatures if our opponent wants to. Seems as though it's human tribal. Right, so let's see what we can do here. 7 cards in our opponent's hand again, thanks to the Monarch. There is a Virtue of Persistence, which can't quite get rid of the Champions of Minas, unfortunately. So let's go for a Forest and make a bunch of mana with the Cabal Coffers again. That is 11 mana this time. Go straight in for the Rishkar's expertise, see if we can get anything done this turn. And then I imagine we're going to be safe paying for the Rhystic Study, so pay for that. 6 mana still floating. Draw 6 cards here and get a free 5 mana spell because Rishkar's expertise can do that for some reason. Let's see. Alright, Archfiend of Ifnir, but we've got Reliquary Tower in play. There's the X spell, or the Agadeem's Awakening. Do we just draw even more cards? We've got 56 cards left in the library, and we could go for a Spark Double here and draw a boatload. Yeah, sure. We've just drawn into Rise of the Dark Realms as well, so worst case scenario we'll just be able to go for that and get all our creatures back. Pay for the study again. Oh, actually, what I should have done was gone for the Archfiend of Ifnir for free, and then played the Spark Double so that we could discard a bunch of things, and yeah, that was the obvious play there. Can you tell I haven't played this in a very long time? Anyway, copy of our commander. All I'm really trying to do here is draw into some spot removal. So we'll keep hold of this, or we could just reanimate it. Yeah, that saves us hard casting it, doesn't it? So we'll just discard it. Get rid of all this stuff so that we can instead get into some removal that we need, hopefully. So now this is a 7/7. It has Death Touch, First Strike, Flying Haste, Hexproof, and Indestructible. And we'll draw a bunch more cards. Alright, and there we are. A Cyclonic Rift. So, do we just go for a 2-mana Cyclonic Rift? Yeah, I think that's fine. Pay for the tax again. Make sure to equip the Fire Shrieker onto our commander to threaten commander damage. And then it's 10, 14, 21. And then plus 2, 4, 6, 8 will be 29. So, reanimating, where is it? The Endray's Forerunners is probably going to be a good idea. So we'll use the Stitch Together in order to do that, seeing as how it is an expensive creature. Pay the tax again. And this is going to force our opponent to block. Although we do have Trample on the big creatures as well, so with the 7/7 haste in play, this may well do it. Swing in with everything. We've got 16 damage on the Indominus Rex alone, so I imagine this will do it. Yeah, making a bazillion mana and drawing even more cards will win you the game, apparently. Our opponent valiantly takes it. I do appreciate him playing it out, unlike our other two opponents. First strike damage takes the Monarch away from our opponent. And then down to 16, excellent. So managing to pull out the victory with Indominus Rex Alpha, I think that was probably one of the best games we've got with this commander. If you enjoyed it, then be sure to leave it a thumbs up, and please consider donating on Patreon via the link in the description below as well. Massive thank you to those of you who do that already. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.